Chords and Coffee number 36. The Pineapple Sparkling Water Spindrift Edition. Is my new favorite. It's just literally pineapple juice and sparkling water, and I love it. Hey, this is the pedal episode. We've been talking about looking at my pedal boards eventually. Well, today is eventually. Dave McCrate, David Rutherford asked for that, and old Left Turn Larry said, whatever happened to that gold PRS? So here's that. I've got this bad boy out because I'm going to be playing with my buddy Alec at the Rockin' Rogersville. It's like a big fair. It's a big deal, and we're playing. That is at the end of September, so I'll keep you posted on that. But Alec Davis, if you go to Spotify, and especially if you look up the American Music EP, that's me playing acoustic guitar, and I'm really proud to admit that if you've ever watched Tom Bukovac, Uncle Larry, one of his buddies is a guy named Ebo, and Ebo is playing a lot of the electric guitar on there too. Anyway, if you're interested in that story, comment below, and I'd be happy to share that with you. It was a magical moment in my life. Never forget it. Thank you to Alec for making that happen. But this is the guitar that I typically play with Alec. It is a PRS single cut. I bought it from my buddy Quinn. And Quinn, I'll never forget this. I love you, Quinn, you're brother to me. But when I walked into Palen Music in Springfield and I saw this, I said, what is that? And he said, oh, that's really more of a younger guy's guitar. Okay. Anyway, so I bought it. But here it is. Probably my wife is holding the phone. And this is a lot of fun. So here we go. We're going to talk about pedals. So with my younger guy's guitar. But before we get to the pedals, this is the amplifier. You know, once upon a time, I was using this Friedman Dirty Shirley Mini. It's 18 watts. And I'll tell you how I have it set up. But I was using this in conjunction with either my Fender Deluxe Reverb, which you might be able to see kind of back behind it, or a Fender Dual Professional. And that's a whole beautiful story into itself. That's a really cool amp, and I still have that. But these days, I'm just playing straight through this. And here's how I've got it run. In the middle section, this is the most clean. I mean, that's pretty clean, but if I dig in and go to the bridge pickup, I'm not changing anything. And especially if I'm playing my telly, maximum jangle factor. But I mean, you hear it. A bite, but if I flip this bad boy up here, listen to this. And honestly, that's kind of where I live when I'm playing with Alec most of the time. And then if I want clean, I can just roll my volume down and I can hit my boost pedal, which leads us to pedals. So if I'm playing more of a country thing, again, I'll be in this middle position. By the way, there's one more position, which is down here. Kind of splitting the difference there, but clean is here in the middle. And you can see I've almost got my EQ straight up. I got a little bit of a bass boost, but pretty simple, which is how I like it. So, a little bit of gain, and for this demonstration here, I'm gonna just go back here to the top for the full tilt boogie. Now, let's go to the pedals. All right, first things first. Using a Blackbird pedal board, I'm going to name drop the snot out of this episode. My buddy Brent Moore from the Mini Color Death, which is a killer band. If you like Soundgarden, Rush, and King's X, the Mini Color Death, incredible. He helped me drill all these extra holes in here. So I've got, this was going to the Dirty Shirley. This was going to the Fender. My effects loop is here. We'll talk about that in a second. Then my guitar. These days, I'm just going through the pedals, okay? Voodoo Lab power supply below. You've seen that. Not sexy. There's no point in lifting the board to show you that. Okay, TU2. Bought it brand new, probably in 1990 something. Still holding up. Boss makes a good pedal. Signal goes in from there to the wah pedal. From the wah pedal, and this is the first crybaby wah I've ever owned. I have worn out some of the insides, and actually Wayne Brown, God rest his soul, replace some of that for me, and it sounds like this. Reverb kicked on. Try that again. The first effect I ever had was a wah pedal, and I listened to so much Guns N' Roses growing up. I mean, just the wah pedal is the thing, and I don't use it as much as I used to, but there it is. And when it's time for a shreddy solo wah pedal plus a delay, turn it up, let it rip, tater chip. It sounds great, right? Okay, so from the wah pedal, we go all the way over to here to this Analog Man envelope filter. Now, a quick shout out, again, this is the name drop episode. My buddy Kyle Vance, who is a bass player in this part of the country who plays in 50,000 bands. He's probably on the road right now as we speak, going to a gig. But he's got a really great relationship with these Barefoot Buttons, and Kyle loves me. He got this autism awareness thing for me because that's something that's very near and dear to me with our oldest son. And so anyway, Kyle, thank you for that, and for Barefoot Buttons. I am a recent convert to the Barefoot Buttons. You can see them here. I don't know if this is the best place for this one. I might put it on the tap tempo, but I'm going to get some more best $10 or however much it is where you live you ever spent. I mean, I've spent that much on a Taco Bell dinner and regretted it. I'm sorry, Taco Bell, but the truth's the truth. All right, so anyway, after this envelope filter, and here's what that sounds like. A lot of times, I'm going to put it back on this cleaner sound. You'll hear me doing that envelope filter with a little bit of verb and some delay when I'm doing this sort of... kind of this sort of lo-fi vibey stuff. But I also like to do it for like a Jerry Garcia. And I kind of like it with delay and verb most of the time. But it's neck pickup a lot of times for me. But with the reverb on there, it kind of gets this almost synthy kind of. Right? And I've got my threshold cranked up. I've got the attack turned pretty far down, and the emphasis is on the lower side of the EQ. So there's that. That's the envelope filter. So again, tuner, wah, envelope filter over to compressor. I don't know if that's right, but that's kind of how I've been doing it. And when I'm doing my compressor, again, more on a clean sound. And a lot of times, you know, I'm using this for one of two applications. So let me turn this up just a skosh here so we can hear this. I might be doing this. I use this Boss delay just for slapback. This is the Wazacraft DM2W. You can see I've got my repeat rate cranked up, intensity pretty far down actually. Like, what is that, like 9 o'clock? And then the echo is barely turned up, so I get this real tight slapback. So like a chicken picking kind of thing, or leaving the compressor on, turning on my El Capistan, which has what I call my more Dave Gilmour delay. You hear that? Much longer. I might even kind of turn that mix up just a skosh. With a little bit of verb. Now, using my volume pedal. Pedal steelish, right? So that's, and then maybe sometimes a third way I'll use it, I'll go on the neck pickup. I was on the bridge pickup just then, and I'll have my, you know, tone down pineapple drink here real quick. Here we go. That's just sparkling water, folks. Don't get nervous. Nate's all right. I might have my tone turned down and do almost sort of a John Mayer. I like the little slap of the snap crispness that the kind of like a pineapple sparkling water drink gives to the string when you play it. And again on that, this is the Exotic SP compressor, and I'm using this on the mid-level compression. Blend is a little more than halfway up, and volume, you know, as the night goes on, it'll get turned up a little bit. For right now, we're gonna behave ourselves, and that's where it's at. So, after the compression pedal, we go to this Bender 1973 London JHS fuzz pedal. Listen to this. So I've been using this, believe it or not. Check this out. I'm going to go to this lower gain setting. And I'm putting fuzz on top of that because I've lost it. And I tell you what's really cool, taking that plus that slap back kind of puts me in the zone of sort of a poor man's Ariel Posen. If you haven't heard him, he's this Canadian guy that plays with fuzz and a small room reverb, slide, baritone guitar, and he's magnificent. So I got my reverb pedal, which I haven't talked about that yet. This is this old Boss RB3. Bought it brand new for $149 and probably 1999, 98 maybe. You know, your Uncle Nate's getting long in the tooth. But anyway, here's what that sounds like with this JHS fuzz and a little bit of this Wazacraft delay. Here it comes. Character to it. It's like the first time you discover some sort of interesting spice in your cupboard. You're like, let's just put that in everything, right? Okay, next. So after this fuzz, we go to this RC booster. Now here's an interesting thing. I'm gonna go back to this setting on the amp where I'm really overdriven. It sounds like this. A lot of times I'll switch to my middle pickup, turn my neck down, and leave my bridge up a little bit. And then I hit this RC booster. RC stands for real clean. If I put a little bit of delay on there, listen to this. Kind of fool you, right? Because remember, this is what we're working with. So you can take something where there's a lot of gain, turn your volume down on your guitar, right? Especially in this middle position. See, I've got my, you can't see the knobs, but I've got them turned down, right? And I've used the boost here to give that clean sound a little more equal footing in terms of overall volume with my overdriven sound, right? I've got the gain turned all the way off on this. Volume is cranked up to about 1 o'clock. Treble's boosted slightly because usually when I'm doing this, I'm playing with the tips of my fingers and not the picks so much. On my telly right now, I've got a little bit of a ground hum issue, and once I get that fixed, this really shines on the P90 on the Telecaster. But when I'm not doing it that way, I use it just as a volume boost for this sound. So once again, here's the sound. Nice and chunkalicious, and then here comes this. And that's on the bridge pickup. I do a lot of stuff on the neck pickup with that too. But from the RC booster, then check this out. We go all the way with this long. Don't you love these flat cables that Ernie Ball makes? I love them. Go all the way down here. And I know, look, I am always switching stuff out. My pedal board's a little messy. If you looked at the floorboard of my car, you'd feel the same way. You know, you got to love me anyway, okay? We're in this together. We're working on relationships. Anyway, so I come out of this thing. I come into my volume pedal, which means all of my dirt, overdrive, and volume boost effects, the last word is this before this cable goes to the front of the amp. So if you follow this guy to the front of the amp, that's what's happening there. That was the subtle direction from my wife. Anyway, then the effects loop, send and return. I have them labeled as well, just so I don't, forget. But send is going to be, first of all, this Strymon Lex, okay? I love this pedal because you get this great, it sounds like an organ, right? But you also, like, if I'm doing like a... And a lot of times I'll have this on the middle setting too. Is you want to switch the tempo, the slow and fast on the pedal a lot. And you almost want to switch it back and forth, and you really got to choreograph that. I mean, sometimes you get lucky and sometimes you don't, but you want to like think about this in terms of like as we're getting ready to go into the chorus, a lot of times I'll switch it to slow or fast depending on what I'm doing. There's a song that I play with Alec called Fall For Me that I use this a lot, and my buddy Jack Falby was the one that hit me to using it and really using that slow and fast in a way that dynamically elevates the drama in a song. So, which is what B3 players do when they're switching the Leslie off and on. I love this pedal. It is like one of those that as soon as I got it, I was like, oh my gosh. And in fact, one of the earliest videos that we did at Palen Music was during the lockdown where we did Angel from Montgomery. And I'm playing that pedal. It was really cool. You can go back and listen to that. Okay, so then from there, we go, and I just got, there's a kid that plays at my church named PJ. PJ, I'm giving you another shout out about this. I used to run my reverb last and then delays in front of that, okay? And PJ was like, and actually I went to this class and him and this guy named David taught where they were like, you really want to run your reverb before your delays because your delays will be more articulate, more succinct, and you guys were totally right. I switched it on my board, so now this Strymon Lex is going with this little cable right here into this old Boss RV3. And here's what I'm doing with this. Here is without, let me turn this echo off. Here's without dry as a bone. I mean, we're talking about 3-day leftover turkey. It's dry, right? Kick on this reverb. That is spacious, right? Right? Louder. I love Verb, and I've had this for a long time. Colt at Walrus, I'm looking at your slow pedal. I'm going to get me one of those here eventually, but I do love Verb. I use it all the time. I love it. And I have this running through the effects loop as well. After the Verb, we go to the Boss DM2W, the Wazacraft delay, and I told you how I have that set. And then we go to the Strymon El Capistan. I'm using this, I got two different settings for this. This is one, and then I hit this favorites button down here for something that's even a little more dramatic. And you can hear that's got a lot more Verb on it. And the secondary functions of this pedal, if you hold it down, this time knob becomes a Verb. If you get the new one, The new one has a reverb over here. This is the older one. This is the first version of it, and I like it just fine. But I use the reverb on as a, so I'm getting two sounds out of this. On the secondary sound, which is the light off, I've got a ton of verb with that. And then this is the primary sound I use here. You hear it's got a lot of echo on it. So even if I go back up to this heavy sound here, if I turn my volume down, listen to this. Questions you have as far as pedals go. Also, I would love, you might be looking at my pedal rig right now going, Nate, you should switch those around. Or Nate, why did you do, the effects? I'm gonna tell you, on a Marshall voiced or British style circuit, you really got to use the effects loop for anything that's time or modulation based. One of these days I'm gonna get me a Univibe pedal. Stay tuned for that. I'm always changing my pedals just because I feel like the pedals actually help you dial into the specificity of the gig that you're playing for. And even sometimes as you're just finding yourself in the tone that is you, sometimes a pedal will kind of help you get there. So would love to hear your questions and commentary. I have a few more pedals that aren't currently on the board, but as of today, this is what the board looks like. Thank you so much. And by the way, if there's something that you think I should try out, put that comment below. Your comments help push these videos out to further places in the world, to reach more people, and we're building community here, and your comments are the way that you do that. Stay tuned. There's some really cool things coming up with Chords and Coffee. Don't go anywhere. This is a great time to jump in. We will see you next week.